Okay, students, what we're going to learn about today is how can I use Google Sheets to do some of the statistical analysis and make charts that we've talked about before. We've already talked about how to make bar graphs and line graphs using Google Sheets. Today we're going to look more at the actual, how do we make it do the statistical pieces to that. So let's get going with this. So the first thing is mean. Mean right here in the middle is what? It's the average. So if I wanted to calculate average, I first have to put in a bunch of numbers. I've done that here in my column A. I've got a bunch of numbers in my column A. So now I'm just going to say equals, and I'm going to type in the word average because that's what the mean is. Add up all the numbers, divide by how many there. I could count all the numbers. I could do all that, but I don't want to do all that. I'm going to let the computer do that. Now, where did I pull all my numbers? My numbers are in A1 all the way down to A something. I don't know where they end. I really don't, because I just started typing in a bunch of numbers. I think I might have 28, 29, maybe even 30 numbers. So I just say equals average A colon A. Now, then if I hit enter, it tells me what my average value is of all those numbers that were over there, which is really cool that it did that. Okay, now let's try mode. Equals mode A colon A. It should produce the number that showed up most often. Now the problem with mode on the Google Sheet is that it's only going to give you one. So 25 might be the only value that is repeated multiple enough times that it gets scored, or it was the first one that showed up the most times. So mode's always one of those that you got to kind of put an asterisk by, and that's something you might have to go back in and check to see if there's any others. Okay, median, we can type it in. Median. Parenthesis, we want A colon A, and put it on there, and it gives me the median. Now highest number, that's max. A colon A, max is highest number, as in maximum. Lowest number, that's min. A colon A, because that's where all my numbers are. Okay, so now comes the tricky ones. We got to figure out the lower quartile and the upper quartile using their system. So we hit equals and we start typing in the word quartile. Notice when you do that, the word quartile pops up. R-I-T-L-E. And now I'm going to put in a parenthesis. Now if things are good, it'll tell me what I got to do. A colon A, comma, and it probably wants to know which one I'm looking for. I'm looking for the first one, I believe. And it says it's 22.5. So then let's do it again. Equals quartile. My range of values, A colon A, comma, 3 would be my upper quartile. See, there's a reason why I always called it Q1 and Q3, because the 1 and the 3 correspond to what these are. So this was equals quartile, range, and then it's quartile number. So do you want the first quartile, second quartile, third quartile? Second quartile was called the median. Okay, so now range. I can't type in the word range on here and have it find the range. What I can do is have it do some calculations for me. I can say equals, what is the range? It is the highest number, so I'm going to say equals my highest number, 96, minus my lowest number, 10, and then hit equals, and it automatically calculates the range. Likewise, I can have it do the inner quartile range. Equals, well, that's my upper quartile minus my lower quartile. It can find that out for us. Now, what I want to know is, are there any outliers in this set of data? Well, there's an actual formula for this, and the formula says for the higher end, it has to equal 1.5 times the inner quartile range plus that third quartile. And the lower one has to be 1.5 times my inner quartile range. But I need to take that number, oops, and I have to subtract that. I got to get back in there and fix it. I need to take my Q1 and subtract this value this time around. So that's what I'm going to put over here in there. So I'm going to say equals 1.5 times my inner quartile range, is that number right there, and I'm going to add it to my upper quartile. So any value above 87.25 would be an outlier. And then for my lower quartile, or my lower outlier range, I'm going to say equals. Now I'm going to have to do the lower one, so the lower quartile minus 1.5 times that inner quartile range again. So any number that's below a negative 16.75. Now, what I haven't figured out exactly, and I'm sure someone else has more skills can tell you this, you can then have it actually find all those numbers for you. Here's how I do it. I will click on the A, so it highlights that whole column. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to say format, and I'm going to do conditional formatting in this column. And I'm going to say not text contains, I want text is greater than, and now here I want this to be greater than my cell where I have my inner quartile range rule at. And that happened to be, I don't remember where it's at. So let me cancel that a second. Let me figure out where it's at. It is, I gotta move this, I can't see. D10. So D10. So highlight my column A. I'm going to do my format. I'm going to do my conditional formatting, and I want it to be greater than D10. Okay, background color, I think I'll just make it a red. Save it. Well, I didn't see anything pop up, so I must have something wrong. So let me go back in, format, clear formatting, so I'll get rid of that other one, format, conditional formatting, greater than, what was that, 86.75? Now I can save the rule. Oops. Forgot. Background color, red. Wants to know how you're going to save it. Okay, so there I had one that popped up. And if I scroll down through my list, well, that's the only one who popped up. Now, as I look at my values that I have over here, I noticed there was no negative number, so I didn't have to worry about the low one. So I do have an outlier at 96. Now, the other thing I can do is I can highlight that column A again, click data, and say I want to sort this range from in column A from A to Z from least to greatest. A to Z is least to greatest. So now it went ahead and sorted all my values for me. So now I can double check my mode. I hate it when it does that. There we go. I can go ahead and check my mode to see if 25 is right. So when I look at my 25, I got 1, 2, 3, 4 25s. And as I scan through that line, are there any other numbers that even show up close to 4 times? I don't think so. So that's how we can use this to get some of that, create other things. Now, you know how to make line plots. You know how to make scatter graphs. You know how to do all that kind of stuff. So that will be one of those things that we can talk more about. But here's the basic on how to do the basic statistical analysis.